afternoon, good evening, good day, and good morning, Blurtstars, wherever you are around the world. You are listening to the
You.
Blurt.
We acknowledge the First Nations peoples of this land, the traditional custodians, and pay our respects to their elders past, present, and future. We recognise the ongoing impacts of colonisation and the importance of a voice to Parliament to ensure the sovereignty and self-determination of First Nation peoples is respected and upheld. We commit to working together towards a just and equitable future for all Australians.
Good old Hollywood forever. They know how to play the game.
They most certainly do know how to play the game. Hi, I'm Keely. Tonight I'm coming to you from Wurundjeri country, the Kulin nation of the Woiwurrung people. Sovereignty is never ceded, always has been and always will be Aboriginal land. If you have just stumbled onto this video tonight, you are listening to the new Blurt. And it is approximately 5 minutes past 8 on the 26th of September. And it's a balmy evening here. And as you see, we've got a bit of AFL fever. So good evening, Wencee.
Hello and go PIES. And before I continue, I acknowledge the Jagera people and the Turrbal people as the traditional custodians of Meanjin, the lands of which I'm coming to you live. I pay my respects to the Jagera and Turrbal peoples, elders past, present, and emerging. Yes, what a match!
It was, and I was talking to a young dude, when I was coming home from the game, and anyone who hasn't seen the game, Collingwood won by 1 point. Last year we lost by 1 point and didn't get in the prelim. And I said to this kid, I said, if you keep watching games like that, there's no chance you're ever going to get to my age. Just no chance at all. Oh my god!
And you were at the game.
I was, and the guy I was sitting next to was exactly like me. He was just so completely antsy, so completely invested in the game, and we were just sitting there, just going. There's nothing you can do, obviously, except just watch it, and you just. For 7 minutes, nearly 10 minutes, you're just like,
We just like hugging each other, going, "Oh, we can't watch. I can't watch," and just keep looking at the match.
No, I hugged him after the game, but he wasn't really much of a hugger. But I hugged him after the game anyway. I tried to hug someone else as well, but I tell you, some guys, seriously. Anyway, yes, that's exactly right. It was amazing because people that don't follow a football or don't follow a sport, a really competitive sport, etc., will not understand the adrenaline rush when your team wins. Because when you have no control over something, but you have so much of a vested interest in it, it's a bit weird when you look at it that way, I suppose. But when it comes to fruition, oh my god, seriously to God, I like after as soon as we won, I was just hands on knees, just trying to breathe. I really was just, oh my god. So yeah, it was, and I could only imagine.
At least you got to celebrate with.
No, go for it.
Go on.
No.
I was just going to say, at least you got to celebrate with 90,000+ people. I got to celebrate with no one.
You were having a me party.
Yes, it was me, myself, and I, basically.
Yes. Well, I think it was 97,000 at the G, I believe.
How many?
97,000.
Wow.
I think it was something like 90. It was either 97,500 or 96,500. And I think the half of the 1,000 were the Giants supporters.
The Greater Western. Oh, is that what they are? Giants?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Greater Western Giants. Yeah.
in Sydney.
They were not Giants that day.
Well, no, they weren't. But I got to tell you, I got to tell you, all intents and purposes, I actually think they were the better team on the day. They played the better football, but what they didn't do is they didn't know how to play the smart football to close out the game. That's what they didn't know how to do.
True.
And
the PIES are really good at, and they've practiced for a long time.
yeah,
Those last
that's
few
exactly
minutes,
right. Yeah,
doing
exactly
those
right.
times. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. So, they just in those moments they know exactly what to do, and they just don't allow the ball to come out, etc., etc. They, field position is paramount of where their backs are to where the offense is situated when they're trying to kick a goal and all that sort of stuff. So, no, it's pretty amazing, but it was an amazing game. But that was then. This is now. And
what else has happened this week in the news?
Yes, well, that's it, isn't it? The grand final is happening this Saturday, and I hope you're watching.
I'll be watching.
Yes, good. Are you going to watch with anyone in particular, or just you, yourself, and I?
It'll be me, myself, and I again, I think.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Party of 3.
Right. Yep. Well, you need to lock yourself in a room with a few beers then, and get some snacks.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll just double fist during the night.
That sounds terrible.
I know, but I love saying it.
This is a family show. I mean, seriously, you can't say that on this show.
I'm talking about 2 beers in one in each hand. Okay.
Of course you are.
Nothing else. Keep your mind out of the gutter.
I should have bleeped that. That was not good. So. But something else that's happened this week. So that will happen this week. The parade is on Friday. If you're a PIES supporter, get down there, support the team. There will be thousands of people down there. I will be one of those thousands.
Excellent.
I was there in 2018 for the parade, and I'm pretty sure I was there for 2010 as well. So I'll definitely be there, probably 2011 as well. But I'll definitely be there for this one. Well, you got to get them over the line.
Show them the support.
That's exactly right. And talking about support, our illustrious leader, Dan Andrews, Dan the man. If he can't do it, no one can. Yeah, well, he's been there for 9 years. He's been leader of Victoria for 9 years. Yeah. And he's done a lot since he's been here, and has many haters, and he also has a lot of Dan lovers as well. There's many people that really like Dan.
So many supporters on Twitter.
Oh yeah, and there's so many that troll him as well. But you're going to get that if you put your head above the pulpit and you try to change things and you change it in a way that people don't like it. Well, as he said, you can't always do things that are popular. You have to do things that are right.
Right.
And as bad as the adjustments and the hold-ups and all of the sort of infrastructure in the city at the moment in Melbourne because of so much construction, he was just saying, I heard him just say that because they asked him what's one of the best things that he's done since he's been leader, and he said one of the best things he's done was just the other day, which was he went for a ride in the new train. That wasn't publicized at all, but he went for a ride in the new train to go right through the all the stops, stop at each stop, and thank the workers at all of those stops, and then get back on the train. Yeah, the media didn't even know about it. There was no leakage, nothing.
Wow.
And he said it was amazing.
Did he do that because he already had planned the resignation, and so he wanted to go out there and do that
and make sure that he
or anything?
No.
But
But what? And make sure that he said thank you for all their hard work.
yeah,
Yeah, I believe he probably did do it for that reason because I think probably a week or so. I think he's been thinking
yeah,
about he wants to have enough sort of thing. He's had enough. I mean, he's been in the game. I mean, he's been leader for 9 years. Sorry, he's been leader of Victoria for 9 years.
yeah.
I don't necessarily think he's been the leader of Victoria. Sorry, he's been
He was.
go for it.
I was just going to say, wasn't he opposition leader for 13 years?
Oh, 13, no.
Was it 13? Or was it 3 years? Maybe it
would
was
have
one
thought
election
3.
cycle.
I would have thought 3.
Yeah.
Because I think he's been in the game for about 13. Sorry, I think he's been the leader for about 13 years. And I think he's been the leader of the Victorian government for 9.
Yeah, maybe that's what I read. 3 years.
I think that's a go. But he's been in it for 20 years. So he's been representing. He's been the MP of Mulgrave for 20 years. So that's a long time to represent your constituents and your electorate. So I personally say thank you, Dan, for everything that you've done. I really appreciated it. I know there's other people that don't necessarily feel the same way as I said, but I definitely do, and my other half does as well.
I didn't even live under his premiership, and I recognise the good that he's done. One of the things that I loved what he did was, and the project's still running, is the removal of railway crossings, which caused deaths, delays in traffic and things like that, and stimulated the economy, improved in the process, upgraded a lot of train stations around Melbourne, and safety as well at the stations. It's nothing like I remember when I've gone past a few train stations and I've gone, oh my God, that's different to when I was here last, like 14 years ago. So huge improvements.
No, you're 100% correct. There's so many huge stations now that have been built. Like super stations, as you were saying. Like there's one in Box Hill, there's one in Water Gardens. I think they're massive. Like Footscray was built right out. Footscray is a really big station. It's quite a nice station actually, Footscray. And
I haven't seen that one.
No, they've done a bit of work in there as well. They did do a lot of work on the trains since he's been there, and the mob before them did absolutely sweet FA. They did nothing for the public transport at all. And so it's been very different, and it has been definitely very progressive. A couple of things. The announcement was made at a Snap press conference, blah, blah, blah. Andrew's deputy, Jacinta Allen, later confirmed she would run for leadership of the Victorian Labor Party. Now, I know for a fact our friend Mick Diambo really wants her to be Premier. So that's a good someone that, good to have on your side. The reason I say that is because not that he necessarily represents all of Ambulance Victoria, but he represents someone from Ambulance Victoria, and he firsthand sort of sees what the government does in his area, if you understand what I mean. So for him to say that he would really like Jacinta Allen to be there, she must be quite good, and maybe he's had some dealings.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. Do you know, is it because he's of stuff or things that she's worked on? Was she a health minister, or has she done anything?
Jacinta Allen was a former deputy, and I don't know. Oh, sorry, she's the deputy now. So
deputy now,
So she's deputy now. So, but she's going to throw her hat in the ring. I don't know, because at 12 p.m. tomorrow there's going to be a leadership ballot to see who's going to be because at 5 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, Dan will be fully gone.
Seems so quick
from the landscape. Yes. Well, Well, mean, that's a smart way of doing it. You don't do what
Mm,
bloody ScoMo does. Just hang around and keep getting your 200 grand for no reason.
mm,
I mean, that's just scumbaggery. I mean,
yeah. Well, he thought he was going
you
to
know,
keep winning, but
Dan's doing the right thing.
mm,
ScoMo, yeah, maybe. So Andrews is joined by his wife, Catherine, and their sons, Noah and Joseph, and he said he would resign as both Premier and the member for Mulgrave. So that's what I say. All ties cut completely.
yeah, it's completely out, isn't he?
And 20, yeah, that's it. 20, but that's the interesting thing, and it doesn't surprise me because that's very much Dan. It's like when he's out, and when he's in,
Yep.
if you know what I mean. And that's what he
Yeah.
was saying as well. He can't think of anything else when he's been in the job. It's just like 24/7. He's thinking about how to make Victoria better, and obviously through the COVID situation, what he needs to do to keep people safe, etc., etc., etc. So, so he's either all in or all out, and this time he's all out. So
all out.
All out.
Good luck to him. Hope he does well in his retirement from politics. I'm sure he will.
Absolutely. What I might do, I've just got a 2-minute 54-second video I could share that I think is a couple of the best bits, maybe a bit of fun. So let me just see if that pops up.
Highlights
the
reel.
show. You guys right to go?
Here we go.
You won't be able to go to the pub. That doesn't mean you can have all your mates round to home and get on the beers. So we need to be proud today. We need to be optimistic. We need to be confident. But we also need to be COVID safe. And I'm very confident that's exactly what Victorians will do.
Can I confirm that what you're saying is that we can finally get back on the beer?
I don't know that I'll be drinking a beer tonight. We'll higher up the shelf.
Pioneering Premier Daniel Andrews announced $128 million to grow the crop and administer the program.
Particularly for little kids who suffer severe epilepsy, medicinal cannabis oil can be the difference.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Between life and death.
What is your message to Josh Cronenberg, who continues to be frustrated with your roadmap or your change roadmap?
Well, it's all about the politics with this bloke, isn't it? That's all he does. It's all he does. He's not a leader. He's just a liberal. Speaker, only when you've experienced something like that, only when you've seen someone you love succumb feebly and painfully to what some people might even describe as a good death, you start to think about what on earth must qualify as a bad death.
That's fine. Trevor, I'll go back to my question
But just before you do, I'll stand here for as long as you want me to, right? Let's be clear. But I'm not having a situation, and I don't believe it is unreasonable for me to pull you up when you make statements that, not for the first time, this is now the second or third occasion when you have put something to me that is absolutely incorrect. No, and there won't be a state memorial service. I couldn't think of anything that would be more distressing for victim survivors than that. Laws did not just punish homosexual acts, they punished homosexual thought. They had no place in a liberal democracy. They have no place anywhere. The Victorian Parliament and the Victorian Government were at fault. For this, we are sorry. On behalf of this House, we express our deepest regret. The Victorian Government apologises for the forced removal from your family, from your country, community, culture and language, and for depriving you of your birthright by actions perpetrated on you. And that's what must be done. Beers, 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 get on the beers, 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 get on the beers, beers, no beers, beers, get on the beers, take me seriously, get on the beers.
He will live forever in our education segment. Our sting for that.
Yes, he absolutely will. I was about.
I was right to go.
Do you think you've heard that before? You have. I have appropriated it for a beach occasion. So
Yes.
But yeah, so you will keep hearing that. You'll definitely keep hearing that.
That's right.
So there you go. Anyway, see you later, Dan. I really appreciate what you did for Victoria. I know how much you have done. And I'm glad we didn't get the games because that was going to be ridiculous. And there might have been some bad decisions made there. Whatever the situation is, you made a lot of good ones. And I'm sure at the end of the day, you tried to do your best. So well done, you.
Yeah.
You're not a bastard.
Here.
Yeah. Oh. Cheers to you, Dan.
Cheers. I don't have beer, but looks like beer.
What's that, ginger? Ginger beer?
No, pineapple and lime cordial.
That
cordial.
is pathetic. Anyway, on with Sagwatch because I don't have a blah for it. So.
Yes, we've blabbered on a lot, blurted a lot.
We have. What is going on with the Screenwriters and Actors Guild of America, my friend? We've been following this like it's a bloody rabbit down a hole. What's going on?
We want our Hollywood movies back on track.
Well,
we're not there yet. We do. We're not 100% there yet. Sunday we got the Writers Guild come to an agreement with the studios.
Oh, that's good.
To most of their demands, which is great.
Yes, very much so. That's the writers, though.
Pretty much
just the writers.
Just the writers, correct. So they locked themselves up for pretty much 5 days with the studio honchos and all their representatives, as well as the Writers Guild, and they've come to an agreement. Pretty much everything that the writers asked for, they've gotten, which is great. So that's protections against AI and the minimum, I think it was three writers per job that they've got, up to 6 or whatever it was. So a lot of concessions were made by the studios, which is great. However, the actors are still on strike because agreement hasn't come through yet. So that's still playing out. So we don't have an end for that one yet. Hopefully that won't be too long, but I guess it does mean with the writers coming back, they still need to vote. All the members of the guild need to vote on it first before that strike is officially over. But once that's done, I guess all your late night shows will probably come back on real quick.
But that'll be the writers. Yeah, but that'd be the writers. But I mean, they can't really do much if there's no acting.
That is true. That's why I think the late shows might come back because it's really.
You mean
that's
like
my guess.
Seth Meyers, John Oliver, Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, and Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So that my guess is that they will come back.
Oh, I hope so. I've missed them so badly.
Although Jimmy Fallon, no, you go.
No, go for it.
I was just going to say Jimmy Fallon's been in hot water lately, anyway, so he may not want to come back too soon.
Oh, do tell. What?
Oh, you haven't heard? In the last week or two, he's been accused of having a really bad environment to work in, similar to what's come out about Lizzo
what's her name?
in recent months, and Ellen DeGeneres, in previous years, but nowhere near as bad. But so he's apologized that the pressure of running the show has probably got to him and things like that, and so it's been a bit negative on set at times. But I don't think there's been anything bad that I've read. But we'll see.
Right. Oh wow, you've given yourself some homework there. We want a bit of extrapolation on the new blurb on that. Thanks very much. So stick that in
I love
the
homework.
new homework file. I know, because you don't have enough to do as it is, do you? There's no doubt about that. So, but someone else who probably should have done their homework fell off. I'm just going to pop this up. Fell off this cliff.
Ooh, wow. That's not a good cliff to fall off.
Nah, it's not. It's not a good cliff to fall off. I would.
She wasn't
100%
abseiling or
agree.
anything, was she?
No, she was doing something rather stupid,
No?
which was trying to take a photo. It's one of those situations where you go.
You dropped out there.
Oh, she was trying to take a photo. So it's one of those.
A selfie.
Well, I assume it's a selfie. Yeah. She's trying to get herself in that position to take a photo and walking back, but not having a look or having any idea or a clue what's about her. And so therefore, she aged in her 20s, so that's quite obvious because people that are older than that take photos from in front so they can actually see what they're taking a photo of, so they would have seen the clip.
Exactly.
But anyway, she fell at Cape Woolamai in Phillip Island and was winched to safety by an air ambulance on Sunday. So our friend Mick the Ambo will probably know all about this. This would have been all about Ambulance Victoria. I'm sure they're having a chat. And I was actually trying to get Nick the Ambo on tonight to have a little anecdote, but it's not getting anything out of him. So he may be on, maybe
on duty.
He might actually be on shift. Yes, that's true. But I'm going to try to get him on because he told me a story very, very recently that is very similar to what we are talking about here. And I don't want to say too much about it because if we can get him on, he'll be great telling this story.
I'm sure
but
he's got
it
lots
is
of stories.
A great story, and it's well. He has, but so many he can't tell. But this one he can tell. So I did have a word with him, and we will probably see him next week. So I'll have to make sure we get him as a guest because he'll be good. He'll be good. To give a little bit of a day in the life of Ambulance Victoria, Micah paramedic, I think a lot of people will be quite interested.
Yeah, definitely.
And anyway, the story that he's got is reminiscent of this, but I don't want to say too much more than that. But anyway, as you said at the start of the show, Cape Woolamai, Phillip Island, and that's where she was trying to take this photo. She was transferred to Alfred Hospital in Melbourne in a stable condition. And Ambulance Victoria spokesman said the woman had been stuck for some time with injuries to her back and upper body. Very silly. She said she fell down the cliff face. Yeah, absolutely. On Sunday afternoon and confirmed the crews worked to winch the woman to safety. So, I mean, this is because someone was just not smart enough to have a look at their environment and too self-absorbed taking a damn selfie. So anyway, she's in hospital now. They're not fatal injuries, but they're still pretty serious. Physics does come with a selfie clause and gravity's a one-way trip.
I do like that quote. That's pretty funny.
It is a very good quote. That's from the Bass Coast Acting Police Inspector Dave Fife. That is a brilliant quote. And I'm going to say that again because it is a fantastic quote. He said, the physics doesn't come with a selfie clause and gravity's a one-way trip. That is brilliantly done by David.
Got to be quote of the year.
Yeah, I reckon it does have to be quote of the year. We might do that at the end of the year. We might see if we can find some quotes throughout the year and have quotes of the year. So that could be a bit of fun getting up to Christmas type thing. I don't mean to make light of what happened to her. He said, I'm certainly hoping the lady makes a full recovery. But he said the incident was a reminder for people to be careful outdoors as the warmer weather approached. And she walked off the walking trail. So don't do that. And she's taken a tumble down the cliff. So
silly her. So, at least she got to live to tell the tale. Well,
yeah, she's very lucky. She's very, very lucky. In 2015, police said two people who fell down Cape Woolamai cliff face while abseiling were lucky to be alive. At least they were doing something that has got an element of risk to it, and there's a good chance you can die, and they know what they're doing. But anyway, the pair were reportedly halfway down the rock wall when they fell 10 meters onto rocks near the waterline, sparking a large rescue effort. And see, that's That's the other thing with this stuff too. It's that it affects so many, in the ambulance side
the rescue.
and
Yeah.
in the rescue and the medical
Yeah.
side, it just affects so many other people. So do, when you're out there, people, think about what you're doing. Have a look where you are. Don't take a selfie on the side of a cliff. It's not a great idea.
Yeah.
So anyway, there you go. So that is that. And I did have, I think you've got a little bit on woman's buds
Yes,
or
I've got
something.
just a very quick one.
Yes, and then we'll
Speaking of
crack on, 'cause we
unusual,
are-
funny stories,
Yes.
a woman in America has
Had to be, didn't it?
had to be exactly had to be rushed to hospital because she had accidentally swallowed half, or not half, but one AirPod, one of those little earbuds that from that Apple sell.
I actually could imagine that, because what I do with my earbuds sometimes, I could easily see that happening.
Yeah. So what she did was she slept with them, and then while she was sleeping, it fell out of her ear, and she accidentally breathed it in and swallowed it.
Oh God.
And of course, the fear, of course, is there's batteries inside that could leak.
Oh wow.
So yeah,
I
and
didn't even
so
think about
no, but they did,
But-
and it was lucky they
shit.
did, because they went to hospital, and they quickly realized, yep, definitely in there. And they could tell because they could hear gurgling from her tummy and things like that coming through the AirPods. So you could hear everything that was going on in her through the phone. So it's pretty weird. That she did try to vomit it back up, but couldn't. They had to send in like an endoscopy type devicey thing.
Yeah.
And pull it out, and so didn't dissolve, or the battery didn't dissolve, and lasted almost 9 hours in her stomach. So pretty
Jesus.
resistant to acid.
Yes. You mean the batteries were?
The batteries. So here's the
Yeah.
image.
Okay.
So there's the lady, and there's
wow.
the AirPod that came out of
Does-
her tummy.
Does it still work?
I think it does, because they are sort of waterproof.
That's
but-
unbelievable.
The fact that they could still hear her while or hear her tummy gurgling and voices echoing in there from the outside going in and stuff like that was definitely working while it was in there. So that's how and that's why they knew it was definitely in there, because they could tell. I thought that was quite funny.
No, that is. That's a great story. I do like that. That's very, very good. That is excellent. Well, that is banter tonight. So now, a bit of this.
Oh, need to get your sound back on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Give life. Give blood. Did you know a single blood donation could save up to 3 lives? Be the lifeblood of Australia. Join us and search Give Blood to book your donation with Australian Red Cross Lifeblood today. Give life. Give blood.
The Australia Institute produces high-quality research that has real-world impact, whether it's revealing the $10.3 billion in fossil fuel subsidies provided by federal and state governments last year, or our long-standing research advocating for a federal anti-corruption commission with real teeth. We change minds. To donate, head on over to australiainstitute.org.au.
Okay, on science. That was a very long banter, by the way. So I'm going to be.
It was, I think, probably one of our longest banters ever. But
I think so. Well, it was hard not to talk about. Not hard to. It was very hard to be brief with Dan Andrews and also the PIES. So there was a lot to talk about there.
That's true. Very true.
But But onto
Bear with us,
science.
people. On to science.
Onto science. One of my favorite topics.
What do you got
so-
for us, Wencee?
NASA. We all love
Oh.
NASA because they do great science stuff.
It's always NASA. Always NASA.
It is, isn't it? Yes. I did want to talk about some of the other achievements that have happened recently, like the Indian government sending a spacecraft to the moon, but maybe I'll talk about that briefly
Another
in the
time.
next episode, another time. But this one on Sunday, the OSIRIS-REx, or the Origins Spectral Interpretation Resource Identification Security Regolith Explorer. Bit of a mouthful, that one.
It is. It doesn't really roll off the tongue.
No, that's why they shorten it to OSIRIS-REx. So
Yes.
the Regolith Explorer basically means regolith is earth, ground, material type thing, and explorer is an explorer. So NASA sent a satellite or a spacecraft to an asteroid called Bennu. All the way back in 2016, it launched from Cape Canaveral in Florida. Took almost just over 2 years, to reach the asteroid in 2018 in December, and it started orbiting that asteroid and taking images and studying that asteroid up close and personal.
How big is this asteroid?
It's only a few hundred meters in diameter, not large.
Okay. And how long were they filming this thing?
So it was there for several months.
God, wouldn't you get bored in the end? Oh, another fucking rock. Another rock.
Yep.
Oh, another rock.
Exactly.
I mean, seriously. Jesus. Oh.
Yeah. Well, maybe scientists love looking at rocks and different shaped rocks.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God, look at that. That rock's got a shadow on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, it was actually not months. It was a couple of years, actually, looking at the timeline.
Wow.
Yeah, so
their boredom thresholds must be very high.
Pretty high, yeah.
Very.
December 31, 2018, it began a detailed survey of the asteroid, mapping every portion of the asteroid. February 2019, NASA scientists identified 4 potential sample sites of the asteroid. So the idea of this mission was to collect sample from the asteroid and bring it back to Earth. So it's February. August 2020, the little satellite, there's a thing that must have shot out of the orbiting satellite, goes onto the asteroid and starts practicing its maneuver to land. Touch and go is what they call it, TAG.
Okay.
October 2020, it successfully picks up sample off the surface, basically using a little scoop and putting it into a sealed capsule, which then shot back up to the satellite. May 10, 2021, so a few months later, that satellite starts moving back towards Earth. And September 24, Sunday just gone, arrives over Earth, ready to send that little capsule back to Earth. So Sunday evening, Australia time, it was ready to be launched from 102,000 kilometers above the surface of the Earth. So that's about a third of the distance between us and the moon. So it's pretty far away. Released the capsule.
So how long did it take them to get 102,000 kilometers?
Down to the Earth? Not long. It was traveling at about 44,000 kilometers per hour once they released it from the capsule or from the satellite.
A lot faster than the new EVs, I'll tell you.
Oh, definitely. Not as efficient though, that's for sure.
No. That's 100% true. Actually, just digressing slightly, I read the other day they're going up, I think it's to the moon, to see if they can get ice on the moon.
Yes.
Because apparently the ice cools the fuel in the rockets or whatever it is.
Yeah, and provides water for humans, and if they're going to have a lunar outpost. Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's various missions out there looking for water everywhere.
Well, in this
The
case,
moon,
they're looking
Mars.
specifically for ice.
Yeah,
It's meant to be like a petrol station, basically, where they can fill up in years to come. I'm like, we shouldn't have any fossil fuels by then. Jesus. But anyway,
exactly.
um,
That's
that's
right.
just me ranting. Sorry.
We digress.
Yes, we do. So, look, this asteroid. What
Mm.
are they trying? What are they trying to get out of it? I mean, I thought asteroids were just like, because I don't know enough about space. I
Mm.
thought asteroids were just like in the universe, just floating about,
Floating
and then
around, crashing into the moon or
yeah,
Earth.
all that stuff.
I will get to that in just 1 second. Let me
Okay,
just
all right,
finish this last
good.
little bit. So
Sorry,
it released
I'm
at
rushing you. Sorry about that.
102,000
Sorry.
at 102,000 kilometers above the surface. It took about 10 minutes to get to Utah Desert in America, where just before landing, a parachute was released from the capsule to slow it down to 18 k's an hour. And bit of show and tell again.
Oh, nice.
There is the parachute and said capsule.
Oh, right.
Landed in the desert, and here's a close-up.
Oh, wow.
Just
What's
black because it
what's in
got
that?
burnt.
Is the asteroid just in that?
So there's a little cup-like device inside of that huge capsule. That capsule's, I think, around about a meter by a meter
Yeah.
by the looks of it.
Well, I'm sort of looking at the foliage around it, and
Mm.
yeah, it sort of looks like that. About maybe a meter and a half high, and maybe a meter and a half wide, or maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And inside there's a little capsule, little container with the asteroid dust and rocks and whatever else it collected. So they don't know exactly what's in there, other than there's about 250 grams worth of dust, which is the most ever brought back from an asteroid. The Japanese did a mission several years ago and only brought back a few grams of asteroid dust, whereas this one is considerably more. To answer your question from
asteroid
earlier,
dust. Yeah, asteroid
yeah,
dust.
yeah, exactly. So to answer your question, why did they choose this one? This asteroid is a remnant from the formation of the solar system.
Oh, wow. And they know that because
spectral analysis. So when they study objects from far away, they can use spectral analysis, where they study the light that reflects off it and things like that. They can work out estimated age of an object.
Right.
So for this one, they're estimating it's about 4.5 billion years ago when this one was created.
Wow.
So, and some people ask, why not just study meteorites? But the problem is meteorites come through the atmosphere, can get contaminated, and we don't know exactly from what object they came from. Whereas by going to an asteroid or a comet, we know exactly where it's come from if we pick anything up. This asteroid is also rich in organic compounds that make up part of life as we know it here on Earth. So that's why they chose that one. Again, they know that by analyzing it from a distance using spectral analysis.
Yeah.
Yep. And most asteroids can be found in the asteroid belt, which is the ring between Mars and Jupiter. And because it's so far away, this one is a little bit closer to get to. Whereas going to Mars and Jupiter would have taken a lot longer for it to arrive there, study it, and then come back. So they chose an asteroid that was a little bit closer to Earth. So they're the main reasons why they chose that one.
Okay, look, that is pretty fascinating. So with this dust, what are they wanting to get out of the dust now? I mean, is Richard Branson wanting to snort it, or because he would love to, have something that was 4 billion years old. Anything that's a bit weird and it's in space, I'm sure he'd be all over it type thing.
I'm sure he would. So that has probably already now landed at the NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston. on Monday, 25th of September, which is already passed, I think, in America.
Yeah.
Going by the time difference. Once it's there, they've got a special compound in there that keeps it in pristine condition, so it's not contaminated by microbes or viruses or anything. So they'll carefully open it up, then they'll analyze it, and it will then become available for scientists around the world to study. And then they'll analyze it for some of those organic compounds that I mentioned before that they suspect that it should have. And then, they'll just study it and see what they can find out of it. And because it's such a bigger quantity than the previous mission from Japan, they're hoping to get some extra information as to the formation of the solar system. How did it come about? Did asteroids have a potential to bring life onto Earth or water onto Earth and things like that? So that's the main reason why they're studying all these objects.
So that's pretty fascinating, actually. So from the spectral analysis or from other sort of lab investigation, etc., via maybe applications that they're using or however they get their data, did they already know that this asteroid had certain elements that they were really, really interested in, and they knew that they wanted to try to interrogate and see if maybe, I don't know, maybe they can use those critical minerals or whatever, maybe in the dust? Or
they would have known what they study or what target to choose, because these missions cost billions and billions of dollars. Obviously, prior to launch, they have to make a decision where they're going to send these spacecraft and what the mission objectives are. And so they would have chosen that because to get to the answers of how did the solar system get created, they need to find something that is as old as our solar system. And so that's why they chose that.
Okay, cool. So do they have sorry, go for it.
No, you go.
Do they have a next step now they've got the dust?
Yes, so while they're studying and researching the dust that they've collected, the spacecraft that brought the little capsule that we just saw, that dropped back to Earth, that spacecraft has now slingshot around the Earth, and it's off to its next target. So it's off to another asteroid called Apophis, which it will reach in 2029. So it's got 6 years of space travel to get to another asteroid, and then bring that sample back.
My God,
in the 2030s.
Yeah,
it doesn't end.
It doesn't. It takes a really, really, really long time.
Yeah,
but
what's fascinating is that it doesn't use much propulsion, because it uses gravity from Earth or other planets or the sun to go around and get slingshot, and using momentum to go fast to get to its destination. It's really, really fascinating how spacecraft and how they engineer the travel.
Have you seen videos on that?
Yes, over the years or decades since I've been into astronomy and space. Yeah.
Maybe one time when we do science again, maybe you might be able to pull up a video and we can actually have a look on the show, because that'd be quite interesting. That action sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, fascinating.
That sounds excellent. Well, we will be back in a minute with conversations with plants.
Oh, cool. Oh, got to get your sound back on. Forgot about that.
See, and you should be too. It's on Tuesday nights, live from around 8 p.m. Hey this is Hannah Melville Ray from the Australia Institute. I'm listening to the new Blurt with Wencee and the Kegsta, and you should be too. It's on Tuesday nights, live from around 8 p.m.
So, conversations with plants. It's not as crazy as it sounds, and many people do talk to their plants.
Do they?
They do indeed. And if you do that, you very good chance that the plants will actually respond to what you're talking about.
Ooh.
Now, to be honest with you, my conversation with plants isn't exactly that. It isn't exactly that. It's just a sort of a light-hearted heading of conversation with plants. But no, you can talk to your plants, and it does make a difference. So get out there, people, and have a chat, because I'd rather talk to them than ScoMo. So there you go.
Yes, I was going to say it's better than talking to some people who talk back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the summary is that plant scientists in Sainsbury Laboratory, Cambridge University, are using light-based messaging to communicate with plants. And they're potentially revolutionizing agriculture. They developed a tool called Highlighter, and it activates specific plant genes using lights to allow human to communicate with plants on a meaningful level. Ooh. And this could lead to improved pest resistance, more efficient farming practices, and reduced chemical use. So it's called light-based communications, and as I say, they've exploring the concept of using light as a means to communicate with plants and activating their natural defense mechanisms and adjusting their responses to environmental conditions. And so these experiments, the research team developed a tool called Highlighter, which I just highlighted, and which utilizes specific light conditions to activate target genes in plants. And the technology enables humans to talk to plants by controlling their gene expression. Mm-hmm. So the potential benefits are that by communicating with plants, we could have significant benefits for agriculture. It could help with impending diseases or pest attacks, allowing the plants to defend for themselves naturally.
Mm. Without weed killers without artificial...
any pesticides, herbicides, any chemicals of any kind. So additionally, it could assist plants in responding to extreme weather events like heat waves or drought as well.
Interesting.
So optogenetics in plants is a technique that uses light control cellular processes and has been challenging to apply to plants due to the existing photoreceptors. However, the highlighter tool that they've been working on, represents a breakthrough in using these optogenetics for plant control. So they were having a real issue before, but now they've created this highlighter tool. It's seeming to get them to the place that they want to be when it comes to getting the results they're looking for in these investigations. In the development of the highlighter, the researchers accidentally discovered that the system had an independent blue light sensing behavior as well as the red-green sensing, which is the highlighter, which provided an alternative way to control the plant responses. So, so it's really interesting because the highlighter is so important. But by developing this highlighter tool, they developed all the they found out all these other systems of the plant and how they could utilize those to get the plant to look after itself in a better, more meaningful way going forwards. The highlighter's high resolution gene control could be applied to study various aspects of plant biology, potentially, as we said before, leading to crop improvement, and the different light conditions could trigger specific plant traits, such as flowering or ripening. Oh, wow. So that obviously is very much trying to get the plant to ripen and flower on your demand, which I irk up a little bit on that because
yeah, makes no sense to me to get out of balance with nature and playing around with it.
Yeah.
But,
No, I agree with you. There's a fine line. There is a fine line. But I can understand what they're trying to do, and it looks like they're in the right, their heart's in the right spot. But yeah, you do get a little bit concerned when you hear things like that. Anyway, in conclusion, the research at Cambridge University is pioneering the use of light-based communication with plants through the development of the tool, the highlighter, and it holds great promise, improving the agriculture and the relationship with plants. So I just thought that was quite fascinating, what they're working on and what they're looking at. I'm not exactly sure what's next. I'm not exactly sure where they go from this and what the next lab experiments will be. But I just thought that in its entirety was interesting.
Yeah, no, it's very fascinating. It'd be good to see bigger studies or bigger sample size, or see what results you get.
Yeah, I think so.
Scale.
Yeah, no, definitely. It'd be really good to see if they start using some of those systems on some agricultural properties, etc., and they start working with farmers, etc. It'd be really, really good to see if it is coming to fruition and what they're finding is working, because obviously lab conditions is different to getting out there and being in the whole agricultural industry and blah blah blah.
IRL.
What's
real
IRL?
Life.
Oh,
in real life.
Yeah. Sorry,
Come on, boomer.
Yes. Sorry, I don't know what IRL means. I apologize. I've got no idea.
NGL.
No idea.
Not gonna lie.
I'm not gonna lie. Okay. I've got no idea. NFI.
I do know that one. How about IKR?
Yes, I know that one. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I use that one quite often.
Excellent. All right.
WTF I use a lot as well.
As well as WTAF.
Yes, exactly.
When you're really perplexed.
Yes, which I have been lately. It's got to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah. So there you go. So
interesting.
Look, I thought it was.
Love it.
So yeah, no, I will sort of follow up on that in a few months' time when we do another one and just see where they are with it and see if they've got any extra sort of investigations. It's actually putting it into the industry and, as you say, in IRL. So that'll be quite interesting. Yeah. But now we've done enough babble in science, so now we're going to do some Econobabble.
Maynard Keynes wrote the book on modern macro, the man you need when the economy's off track. Depression, recession, now your question's in session. Have a seat.
Anyone who sees this will see Wencee's dancing, and it's far better than mine.
It's the economy, stupid.
Which says a lot, because this white man can't dance.
Yeah, neither can this white man. Neither can this white man at all. So, but hit me with your Econobabble, my friend.
My Econobabble. I'm going to be quick because I know we're running a bit late tonight.
Yes, that's all right. That's okay.
I know we are all suffering from the house price going up and up and up and up and up across Australia. I think I may have mentioned a few suggestions as to what could fix it, but
living in cars
or tents. Although, speaking of tents, did see little mini tent city at a park in Brisbane over the weekend, which I found pretty sad. But
Jesus, that is not good.
Yes, not good at all.
It's terrible.
Back to this segment. I'm going to focus on what New Zealand government has done.
Nice.
Back in 2013, they announced a change in zoning for building residence or homes, dwellings.
Okay.
First, they tackled Auckland, so that was the target city to see if it worked. So basically what they did was they changed the low density zone to be to a medium and high density zone. So that meant any single dwelling homes could now be built with townhouses or bigger apartments.
Right.
So that was announced in 2013. In 2016, the changes took effect when the legislation
Did they
occurred.
have a cap on how many floors these things are allowed to be?
That I don't know. Didn't go into that much detail, this article. But I suspect they may have in certain councils. I don't know how councils work in Auckland, whether it's the same here in Brisbane or other parts of Australia where, yeah, there are caps.
Well, I'm only in a little town, the little town I live in, and we've got a 35-story building
Yeah.
in the middle of it.
Wow.
So,
is that Mooney Ponds?
Yeah.
Is it that tall? Wow, I didn't realize it was that tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. So I've got a bit of show and tell. So you can see in this graph, the very first one, I might just take us out of the picture so we can see the.
Yeah, perfect.
So we can see it a bit clearer. 2013 is the first bar on the left, which is when the announcement was made about changing the zone. 3 years later is the second line in 2016.
Oh,
you can see that the light blue line was already going up, but very slowly.
Yeah.
Before that, which is the zones where they made those changes. The dark blue line is the zones that they didn't make those changes. So they're the ones that stuck with the same low level density approval process.
And
so
yeah, sorry, go for it.
No, you go.
Go for it. No, I'm sure you'll tell me. Sorry, go for it.
So after 2016, when those changes came into effect, there was a boom in construction of homes, and you can see the light blue just shoot up until the recent data early this year, where they built approvals were 16,000 dwellings compared to 4,000 for non-zoned or non-approved zones. So what happened to the prices of homes and rent during the last 7 years? Rents stabilized, but the prices of housing went up, but didn't go up as quickly as it had been previously.
Right.
Unfortunately, I don't have a graph of the house prices during that period to see if it corrected itself.
Right.
But the fact that they had high approval for more dense dwelling compared to keeping single and doing the sprawl instead of going up. Yeah, so you can see that clearly in that graph. So in the next graph, what we see
that light blue, right? That light blue, is that dense housing? I.e., is that apartment blocks?
Yeah, so it could be townhouses, could be apartment blocks.
Right.
The data doesn't show exactly the mix of the dwelling, but what it does show is it's not single home on a single block of land. So
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So what you're saying is they put in policies that said that these particular zoned areas, you have to build more than a house. It needs to be an apartment of some kind or a multi-person dwelling.
Yes, multi-dwelling complex, correct.
And I suppose the thing we don't know is how dense could those buildings be, i.e. how high could they be and how many people could live in those buildings?
Correct. Don't know that. It's not in the data that I was reading. I'm sure there's other papers or other reports on that would show that. But what it does show is that we need to stop the urban sprawl and start densifying. I don't know if that's a word. Our cities.
Yeah, you're basically saying we need to start being like Japan.
Yeah, pretty much.
And pretty much most of the other Asian countries that are sort of urban build. The issue here, probably even more than there, because they've only got like 4 million in the whole island.
The whole country, yeah.
Whereas we've got 26. And I think, well, without a doubt, I know that the issue here is that there's lots, boomers in particular, and older, are NIMBYs, in that they don't want the density in their backyard where they built their block, 20 years ago or whatever. They don't want apartment blocks there. So, and I can see it from both sides. I can totally see it from both sides. I'm not exactly sure what the answer is.
No,
but
I think it's a combination of many things.
Yeah, look, good on them for trying it, and I mean, New Zealand's sort of good for that from a guinea pig perspective because it's not that many people there, sort of thing. So it's good to try these things. I mean, and it's interesting you said because I know for a fact that the New Zealand housing market's been hot for quite a long time.
Yeah, that's why it's relevant to us because their market is very similar to Australia. And it's become very unaffordable for many young people or many people in general. And prices have skyrocketed, rents have gone up, and there's little rent. So very similar to us. So it's a good example of, okay, yes, it's going to take a few years, but if we do something now, it will get better.
Yeah, look, as I say, we have to do something, whether it means that we just have more people moving out into the regions because there's shitloads of land outside the urban areas. But, we got 7 million people in Victoria, but 5 million of them live in Melbourne.
But you also need the jobs to go out there as well because you can't get a population boom in country Victoria or any state without the jobs.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Look, it's interesting. It's really interesting. It'd be good if you just sort of keep tabs on that and just see where that goes.
I'll try to do that
in the next few months or so. Just see if just see where it goes as any other sort of machinations with that, because it wouldn't surprise me at all if I mean. As I said, I know for a fact they're trying to do that here, but I also know they're having a lot of fight back from a lot of boomers.
And Captain No.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So
that's my lot for this segment.
Brilliant.
Over to you, my friend.
Excellent. No worries. So what I thought I might have a chat, a friend of mine, Mick Diambo, actually, was telling me the other week how badly Victoria was off when it came to the deficit that we have. Apparently, our deficit is more than all of the other states combined. I found that very hard to believe. And as I am one to do, I research my own information. So absolutely. And so I've looked at quite a few different things, and this comes straight from the Commonwealth Bank. They have a report they do every year. I think they might do it twice a year. It's called the State of States.
Ooh,
and
sounds
so
like a footy match.
Yeah, well, there you go. But I've got a couple of things here, and I think they might put things in perspective. And you may be surprised on a couple of things. So one thing I will ask you, Wencee, when it comes to the state of the nation, i.e. the state, i.e. which state of the nation, which one do you think leads in economic performance?
In output, as in it earns the most?
No, just overall economic performance. When you put everything together.
I would say WA.
Bow.
Does it include territories?
It includes everything. Yep.
Everything.
And territories. Yep.
Okay. I'm going to go for Victoria because I think you're going to be very proud if it was them. All right, tell me.
Tasmania.
Tassie. That was going to be one of my guesses.
Tassie.
Wow.
They are leading the nation in economic performance.
How is that measured?
I will absolutely go through that in a minute, but they are leading the nation. New South Wales is second. South Australia holds third position. Queensland's fourth. West Australia is fifth, and Victoria is sixth. And then you have the territories. So the annual growth rankings, when considering annual growth across economic indicators, New South Wales is in the top spot. They also have the least unemployment.
Okay.
So if you want to get a job, that's where to go. West Australia, Victoria, South Australia share joint third place in annual growth. The ACT is sixth in that one. Factors impacting economic performance. The economic performance of Australia's states are supported by a strong job market, blah, blah, blah. The rising interest rates are affecting pace. Well, we know that. Future economic trajectory depends on how inflation responds to higher interest rates. We know that as well. And what the RBA does going forwards, et cetera, et cetera. So Tasmania's strength and weaknesses. One of Tasmania's strength is it leads in equipment spending.
Equipment spending.
Equipment spending.
What does that mean? Spending on what?
Equipment. I do need
coffee machines, washing machines.
Yes, I do need to dig into that. But however, its weakness is a relative population growth. There's only about 440,000 people in all of Tasmania.
Oh, right. It's very small, isn't it?
It is. It's only a little bit. No, I think it's either a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller than Christchurch.
Jeez, okay.
In New Zealand.
Yeah.
And that's the whole island.
But that's a whole island, yeah.
Well, state. Sorry, state. That's the whole state. So, yeah.
Can't forget Tasmania. Come on.
Yes. Well, it's leading.
Yeah.
I've got some more info on that. So it strength and weakness, as I said, relative unemployment. Its weakness is in dwelling starts, which means starting any house building. They've got a real housing. I mean, it's all around Australia, but they've got a real one in New South Wales. So, South Australia's strength and weakness. South Australia ranks first in relative population growth, which is quite surprising. Quite surprising. I wouldn't.
People going into South Australia. That's amazing.
Yeah, I know lots coming out, but I didn't know people were going in. So there you go. Until you do the research, you just don't know.
Peter Malinowskis must be doing something, right?
Well, absolutely. It must be. It must be all that gym work and swimming and
modeling.
People just want to come over and see his oiled up body. That must be it. But their weakness is retail spending, and to be honest with you, I actually think that's a strength because we need to stop spending on shit we don't need.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, if you watch War and Waste. Oh my God, we just spend so much on shit we do not need. It's something that Ness and I've been doing a lot actually lately, not spending shit on stuff we don't need.
Good idea.
Looking at a wardrobe going, no, I don't need any more of that. And I don't, because I find it really hard now. Like I go past stores and I'll go, oh, I like that shirt or whatever. And I'll just go, no.
Don't need it.
No, that's it. I don't need it. Exactly right. 100% correct. I mean, obviously, I need to get my Black Dog Dancing with Black.
Yes, I need to.
I need to get that. Yes, I need to get that. And I got to find my shirt that she ruined. She might have hidden it. I don't know where it is. But anyway, if anyone does know what we're referring to, if you haven't listened to the show before the show one night, my other half ripped a shirt off me. No, it wasn't anything like that whatsoever. It was really
people.
Yes, that's right. It was really annoying, really, really annoying. And we had Mark Basidi on, and I said, I want one of your shirts from Dancing with Black Dog because they probably look very good. And so we're going to do a swap. So that's what that's about.
That was episode 138 for those playing at home. So if you want to go listen to that or watch it on YouTube, go do that now. No, after this episode.
Episode 138.
Season 4.
Absolutely. So West Australia's strength and weakness. West Australia leads in relative economic growth.
Mhm.
Not performance, but growth.
Growth. That's where I thought they'd be doing the best, but yes, okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's only so many states that can keep blowing up Indigenous artifacts.
I know. Thanks, mining.
Yeah, fantastic. There is a weakness in construction work done.
Yeah, okay. Right. So housing and other buildings, I guess.
Yeah. And Victoria is exactly the opposite of Western Australia. We rank first in getting all our construction work done, and we are very weak in relative economic growth. But the thing is, as a nation, as a country, as a world, we need to start thinking about a circular economy rather than an infinite growing economy.
Yeah.
Because we can't keep growing infinitely, because that means we just keep depleting all resources that we have.
Correct. Yeah.
So we have to think of a better way. So every time someone comes on and says, "Oh, the economic growth was such and such, and we need to be another % next year," no, we need to find another way. So don't listen to that, people. Anyway, ACT excels in retail spending. Bastards are spending like there's no tomorrow up there.
Considering they've got high rents, I'm surprised they have enough surplus money.
Yeah, well, apparently, I believe it's quite salaries are quite good in Canberra, I believe.
Yeah, to be able to pay the rent.
Well, yeah. But again, like Tasmania, it's got a relative population growth. It's pretty stable. Yeah, not much happening. NT performs well in relative economic growth, but it's got a weakness in retail spending. So that gives you a little bit of an idea there. And I won't go a lot further. I will just say a couple of things because I've got a little bit more extrapolation and just a couple of charts. And I know we've gone for a long time, so I don't want to keep cracking on. But I will just say this. The overall performance of all the states, Tasmania has retained top spot in the state of states' economic performance rankings, improving its ranking on retail spending. Tasmania ranks first on equipment spending and dwelling starts. So that's what we are talking about before, i.e. equipment for creating construction and getting their housing. And when they say dwelling, whether that is, compacted housing. There's a better way of saying that. I can't remember what it is.
Multi-dwelling,
multi-person dwelling sort of stuff. I don't know if that is included in there. New South Wales remains second position, has narrowed the gap with Tasmania, South Australia, slips to third, blah, blah, blah. But really, at the end of the day, Tasmania is Australia's best performing economy.
Nice. Go Tassie.
Yeah, so I was actually quite surprised by that.
Yeah, extremely surprised.
One thing I will say, Western Australia, and I find this quite hilarious because Commonwealth Bank may know about maths, but they've got no idea about English because they don't know what a comma is. Because if you listen to this statement, this sounds pretty hard to believe. Economic activity in Western Australia in the year to March 2023 was 44.1% above its normal or decade average level of output.
Say that again. How much?
44.1% above its normal or decade average. 44% above.
Wow.
Yeah. What I think has happened there is there's no comma.
Oh.
So I think it's meant to say was 44%, comma. Or 44% above its normal. It's normal 44%. Yes, comma above, comma above its normal or decade average level.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so.
But there is no comma there. So I read it the first time and I went, "Yo, what?" That didn't make any sense at all. So Anyway, so they're 44%. Retail spending, ACT is 15. The lowest is in retail spending is 0.7. That's the NT.
Wow, that's pretty low.
So I say, good on you. You're not buying shit. Well done.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty good.
I think they're all busy fishing up in NT.
Good on them.
In the
They're
rivers.
not buying. Yeah, that's great. They're not buying. I like it. It's good. Unemployment, 37.8% below its decade average level. That cannot be right. With unemployment, again, no commas. With unemployment at 37.8%, comma, below its average decade has the strongest job market. They really need to use commas. I am telling you. Anyway, this one, I'll get onto your Queensland one in a minute and then we'll close the show up. But I'm just going to do this one. Construction work. Victoria now is the strongest for construction work. So Victoria is now in top spot for construction work done in Victoria. Construction work done is 19.3%, comma, above its decade average, ahead of South Australia, up 14.9%. New South Wales and Tasmania comes with work done in both states, 12, etc., etc. At the lower end of the scale, Northern Territory. New South Wales leads annual growth. In terms of annual growth rates, 5 economies of construction work higher than a year ago. New South Wales was the strongest performer with construction work at 8.8% higher than the year. But for construction work actually finished and all of it, Victoria has now got top spot. And
you can tell when you're in the city of Melbourne because there's construction everywhere.
You can. You absolutely can. It's a bit of a minefield. If you are if you're a tourist in Melbourne at the moment, you wouldn't have a clue where you can go. I couldn't even get into my building today. I didn't realize they were doing construction on that.
It's happening everywhere. Jeez.
I went to walk into the building and they've closed and they've got all this scaffolding all around the building. I couldn't get in. I was like, shit, when did that happen? So, yeah, even people that live there. So I just wanted to, I was just trying to find Queensland because there was an interesting one on Queensland. Actually, I know where it is. Right. Okay. So this is me closing up. This is done. I thought this was interesting. Everyone has a go at Palaszczuk. I hear them do it quite often. But the government delivering a record 12.3 billion surplus. Queensland is set to continue its investing in critical initiatives across various sectors like renewable energy, infrastructure, critical minerals, skills, and training. These allocations aim to stimulate economic growth, create job positions for Queensland for future opportunities in traditional and emerging industries.
Yes.
So there you go. 12.3 billion surplus. Nice. I remember when Victoria had a few of those. I don't think it's
obviously that's mining giving us the surplus, but we could be here for another 10 minutes talking about it. But it does appear that Palaszczuk is moving in the right direction for mining and other renewables. So, but yes, that's good. That's good news. We're doing pretty well.
It is good news. I mean, you've got a strong. I hate saying strong economy because that means it's growing, and I know there's a better way, but we haven't quite found the better way yet. But at least it means that you're sort of safe in the notion that you can pay your debts in Queensland, etc.
Exactly.
But to be honest with you, though, it's pretty hard for states not to be able to pay their debts because they can all just borrow money internationally anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so when
as long
people
as those
get
credit ratings are high.
Well, that's right. That's exactly right. And all our states have got some of the highest. So when people, get a little bit concerned or whatever, you don't need to be concerned. It's fine. They'll be able to pay all their debts. It's not a problem. So anyway, people, that is your mammoth marathon.
Yeah, it's a big one, a long one.
It was, and it's because our banter was so long.
Yeah.
And then I shited on for too long, and then and you nassified for a while, which was awesome because it was fascinating. So
it was All interesting tonight.
It was all interesting tonight, and this time next week, we just hope. Oh, actually, this time next week, you and I may not be on line, correct?
Correct. Well, I'm pretty confident I won't be, because I'll be in country Victoria for the start of next week.
Yes.
Hopefully, still celebrating our win.
Yes,
grand
very
final.
much. Hopefully. I might just do a quick rundown on the grand final if we win. If we don't, there will be no new Blurt next week. So,
because we'll be crying and under our sheets, curled up.
That's exactly 100% correct. So until maybe, hopefully next week, or definitely the week after. It's goodbye from me, people.
And it's goodbye for me. Adios.
See you, Wencee. Thanks as always.
Bye.
See you, buddy.
Bye.